everyone. So thanks for joining tonight's session on our short trip to Paris in October. And in a short while, I will share my screen with you and go over the itinerary, cover the places that we're going to see. We included in the program and a number of other hotspots that might be of interest for those who will visit Paris, obviously. And you can find the brochure of the trip on the World Affairs Council travel webpage. You can go there, click on the link, and you can download the PDF brochure. So I will now share my screen with you and start going over the program. I arranged this so that a couple of times in the middle, I may have to stop the presentation and switch to the map so that we can just go over a number of locations on the map and then go back to the presentation. So we will see. Now, I am sharing my screen. Let's see. Here it is. And now I assume you have access to my screen and the title page of our presentation. Paris, Love Paris in the fall, from October 7th to October 14th, 8 days, 6 nights. So it is a 6-night trip from Houston to the capital of France, Paris. I don't think Paris needs much of an introduction. Most probably, at least a few of you must have been to Paris before. It's not a city that will be over with only one visit. Just, you can visit it a number of times to discover the different cultural and historic and sites that it offers, and just to join the life over there. That is the interesting part. So here we see an overview, an aerial view of Paris. It is the capital, as I said. 2.2 million people live in the center, 12 million in the metropolitan area. It is the capital of fashion, the capital of culture, city of light. Most of the city is declared as UNESCO heritage site. So the city is a historic site as it is, a living monument as it is. So here we see the Eiffel Tower. Now, in this short trip, what we did is not to combine all those, just well-known, hyped-up places, Louvre Museum and Eiffel Tower and Versailles Palace and those kinds of places, but to bring together a number of locations that are not so well-known, but still interesting and on their own right, and locations that may be difficult to reach on your own or a little bit out of sight. So we brought together a number of those locations, and of course some leisure time so that you enjoy the city on your own. When we are there, that is the most interesting part, to spend the time on our own, just walking in the streets and having dinner and visiting the locations that we heard about but didn't have a chance to go, if we visited Paris before. So Eiffel Tower and the Boulevard Champs-Élysées, the main famous boulevard, which is about 1.5 miles long. It is the place for high fashion, for good dining. This is the throbbing heart of the city. so well known. It goes from L'Étoile, Arc de Triomphe, all the way to Place de Concorde. So one of the centers of attraction. Now, and Arc de Triomphe, of course, just having spoken about that, erected in 1836 to honor those who fought and died for France in all those wars up to 1836. And that is one of the main spots. And our hotel, we will come to that too, will be close to Arc de Triomphe, L'Étoile, and it's possible to walk to Champs-Élysées, to this Arc de Triomphe, and to Place de Concorde, and a bunch of places of interest. So it's very centrally located. Now, this is another view of Arc de Triomphe in the evening. Now, when we arrive there, if we fly, and that is the suggested flight, on Air France, we'll arrive there early in the morning. We'll be transferred to our hotel, and we won't be able to check in immediately, but we can leave our stuff till the time of check-in, and we can just freely go out and start exploring the city. And the next day in the afternoon, one of the locations that we are going to visit will be the Museum of Rodin. Rodin Museum, the famous sculptor of late 19th century. I'm sorry, yeah, late 19th century, early 20th century. He died in 1917, actually, and he lived a little bit outside Paris. But this building that we see, which was later converted into the museum, this was a residence of one of the prominent persons living in Paris. But it was left dilapidated, and just another person bought it, renovated it, and started renting. And certain artists rented the place, and the ground floor was rented by this Auguste Rodin, and he used the place as his studios. So most of the sculptures that we're going to see over there in the museum, we are going to have a guided tour of the museum. And most of his sculptures are well known, not only in Paris in France, but all around the world. This is Le Penseur, the thinking man, very familiar, I suppose. And the molds of his sculptures in his studio, they were used a number of times, and the copies of his sculptures were made a number of times and were given to other museums around the world. So in Washington, D.C., for example, if you have been to the Sculpture Museum, you must have seen a number of his pieces over there. So we will visit this Rodin Museum, a guided tour, and talk about and learn about his art, his lifetime, and the changes that he brought in his art at the end of 20th century. Another location we are going to visit, that is the following day, and this is again just another hall in the Rodin Museum. Another location will be the UNESCO headquarters. UNESCO, United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, is headquartered in Paris. That was established after the Second World War with the establishment of the United Nations, obviously, in 1945. And the headquarters building was built in 1958 as a collaboration of several architects of that time. And we will have another guided tour of the headquarters. We will learn about the mission of the headquarters, as you see, and the architecture, and it has an interesting architecture. We'll learn about its architecture, the story of how it came about. And inside, it is adorned by major art pieces by Miro, by Picasso, Giacometti, more than 600 pieces of works of art. So we are going to visit the halls and the meeting rooms and see quite a number of those works of art that adorn the headquarters of UNESCO in Paris. And of course, learn about its mission, as I mentioned. And I have to mention that the UNESCO World Heritage Sites list that is also established here, and the committee that decides on which site to include, which site not to include, works here, and we will learn about their criteria and how they choose different sites to include in their list. And the following day, we have an excursion outside Paris, Giverny, a little bit to the northwest of the city, about 1 hour's drive. The house of the well-known painter Claude Monet. Now, this is his house. We'll see a number of his paintings here. He is famous for his water lilies. He was the founder of the Impressionist painting school, which was the precursor of the modernist school of art. And of course, most of his paintings are in various art museums around the world. But we'll visit his home. He lived here. He died in 1926. He was born in 1840. And for the last 25 years of his life, he lived in Giverny, in this house. And he was very much into painting nature as it is, painting as he perceived it. So he painted all those water lilies and the nature in his big garden, which we are going to see, which inspired his paintings. This, for example, the water lilies, the main theme of his most famous series of paintings, actually, not one, but a bunch of paintings of his. So, and this is him in the beginning of 1820s of the First World War in his house, just photographed. So we will visit his museum and learn about his art, his life, and have lunch over there. And then just in the afternoon, drive back to Paris for some leisure time on our own. This is another picture from the entrance to his house. The following day, it's going to be a full day of various things in Paris. The first point will be Fragonard Musée du Parfum, the Museum Parfum of Fragonard family. That's a family of perfume producers in Paris. That's a small museum, but gives quite in-depth information about the history of perfume making, how it came about in France and in Italy, the story and the art and the science of perfume making in the city. We'll just learn all about those. And we will end our visit with a session of about an hour and a half session of perfume making workshop. We will learn the intricacies from a master perfume expert, and we will make our own perfume to take back with us home, and that will be our visit to the Fragonard Perfume Museum. We'll have some free time for lunch, and in the afternoon we will have a canal cruise. Well, this is a canal cruise. We will not have the cruise on the River Seine, but on one of the canals that leads to Seine River. This is Canal Saint-Martin. It's about 3 miles long. Its construction started in 1802 by Napoleon Bonaparte and ended in 1825. The main idea was to supply the city with fresh water because the population was increasing, so they needed more fresh water to supply the population with. And also it was used for trade to bring grains and construction material to the city. So it is an interesting cruise, more than an hour long. It covers interesting neighborhoods of Paris that we won't have chance to see otherwise. Plus, the canal boat itself goes through a number of locks. It's interesting to see the changing of the level of the canal and to go through those locks. That is an interesting procedure in itself. And also part of it that this canal is underground. So we'll go through those tunnels and hear about and learn about the history of canals in general in Paris and around Paris, which was at times very important for trade, as I mentioned. And our evening, we will have an evening of dinner and some review show at the famed Moulin Rouge, the red mill of the review line in Paris. This was established in 1889 originally, and this is known as the birthplace of the can-can dance. I'm sure you must have seen in various movies, and it led to the cabarets across Europe. And it also was made well known by the artist Toulouse-Lautrec, Henri Toulouse-Lautrec, who is well known painter and graphic artist. This is one of his posters for Moulin Rouge that he painted and prepared to promote the place. And this is another one of his paintings of the review, the show in this establishment, Moulin Rouge. And this is the review. We'll have the dinner first, some dancing time, and then we'll have the program in the evening, which will start at 9 p.m. for about 2 hours. So that'll be a late night. And that will be the items, the excursions and tours that will be included in our trip. Our Hotel Élysée Regencia, as I mentioned, it is located in the center, close to L'Étoile, close to Champs-Élysées, a modern hotel with all the amenities, and it's going to be a very nice stay. And now, when we talk about Paris, before going to actually, let me just go to the Paris map here. Here we see the Paris map divided by Seine River meandering, just dividing the city into two. And our Hotel Élysée Regencia, is located here. And this is Arc de Triomphe, just walking distance, and Champs-Élysées, the main street, walking distance, and Place de la Concorde. And of course, you will have, just a number of afternoons and a full day at leisure when you can visit Musée du Louvre and a few other places which I'm going to mention. I am going to go back to the presentation, and this is a schematic map here, River Seine. Again, you must have heard about the arrondissements, the division of neighborhoods in Paris. Paris is divided into 20 neighborhoods, 20 arrondissements that start with 1 to 20 and goes, from the city center clockwise, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So our hotel is just in the junction of 16th and 8th arrondissement, and all the places of interest are in 8th arrondissement, 1st and 2nd mostly, and depending on your interest, you can visit places in 7th and 6th arrondissement. So most of the time, will be around this region. And if you haven't visited Paris before, and if you haven't been to Louvre Museum before, of course, it is a place to be. And with its architecture, its interior, of course, also its exhibits. And Cathedral of Notre Dame, unfortunately, we won't be able to visit. As I'm sure you know, it's had a big disaster a couple of years ago, a big fire, and it's being renovated at the moment. But still, just this is a view from Notre Dame, a view of the city. And of course, again, if you haven't been to Paris before, visiting Eiffel Tower, that would be interesting. Built in 1889, 1,000 feet high, 1,000 feet tall. That would be interesting, of course, to see and climb up to one of the higher levels to see the view of the city. And Montmartre, in the middle of the city, on top of a hill. This was the bohemian center of the city, the artistic center. Most of the well-known artists, from Matisse to Picasso to Giacometti, they all had their studios or living quarters in Montmartre. Of course, it is now center for not only art, but for touristic visits. The main attraction being Sacré-Cœur, the main basilica, which was constructed in 1919. And of course, just wherever you go, the daily life of Paris, the street cafes all around. And Paris is well known for that. This is the Marais district, which is more of a mixed mosaic of cultures. It was at one point the center for Jewish life in the city. And this is Hôtel de Ville, the town hall of Paris, the historic town hall, another point of interest in the second arrondissement. Just walking, if you can, is the best thing to do in the city, of course, but transportation is quite easy. This is the entrance to the subway, Metropolitan transportation, the metro, and it has a very efficient metro system. So at your leisure time, just traveling in the city, or taking a cab, of course, or Uber, or using the metro system is quite efficient and easy. And all around the boulangeries, the pastry shops with delicious examples of French pastry. They open up quite early, actually, just by 4 a.m., 5 a.m. They start baking. And if you wake up early, and every neighborhood has a bunch of them. So if you just go out and walk around and follow your nose, I'm sure you will just, get the good smell of fresh bakery, and go there and freshly baked cakes and bread and different patisserie, just to be able to taste. If you are into, or even if you are not into shopping, just visiting a number of historic malls would be interesting. Galeries Lafayette, this is one of the biggest and main shopping centers, department stores in the city. Another one, which is relatively newer, is Printemps, and of course the open air markets. Every neighborhood has a different day and different time of the day for them. So during your stay, I'm sure you'll encounter a bunch of them, which are really quite interesting and feast to the eye. And more cafes everywhere. Different cafes have different stories, and they attract different clientele. This one, Les Deux Magots, for example, this is well known for the the place for les philosophes, the philosopher of the times, Jean-Paul Sartre, for example, and Simone de Beauvoir. They were known to frequent this cafe during their times in the 70s and 80s. And again, in your own time, if you want to have a cruise on the River Seine, that is possible, or visiting. This is again a view from Seine River. If you want to visit the tomb of Napoleon Bonaparte, another interesting spot, a historic spot, or the Museum of Montparnasse, where you can find the tombs of a number of literary and artistic people of Paris over there, or Musée d'Orsay, which is a museum of art from 19th to early 20th century, another interesting place to visit. And of course, bistros and restaurants, well-known French cuisine. One of my favorites here, Confit du Canard, just duck, leg of duck, braised, it's delicious, with bouillabaisse on the right here. And of course, music, live music. If just you walk around, you'll encounter with buskers and live musicians everywhere. So this will be our trip, 6-night, 8-day trip to Paris. As I mentioned, we will be trying to bring together a number of locations that are out of reach if you go individually, or difficult to go if you go individually, and plenty of free time, so you can visit the places that you would like to visit and experience the city. So if you have any questions, please do. I guess there are no questions.
So what is the cost of the trip actually?
The cost of the trip, yes. I won't be able to say off the top of my head, but the application form is again on the website. So you can download the application form. In it, you will find the trip price, which includes accommodations and all the excursions that I mentioned, entry fees, guided trips, a number of them.
Perfect. And in addition to that, if we would like to come in early or leave late,
sure, that is possible.
Accommodate that as well. Okay.
Definitely, that can be accommodated in the same hotel, or if you want to stay at a different hotel, that is possible. We can make the necessary arrangements.
And what kind of numbers are you going to need for this trip to make? I mean, are you hoping to have 10, 20, or what's the decision point? Because we'd also our choices is kind of at this point is we'd like to go to Paris, but Cuba's a backup, so, or vice versa.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on that?
Normally we operate the trip with a minimum of 4 people. So even when we have 4, I think we're going to operate. And but normally, just for the French Council trips are not big, and for this trip, we don't expect more than 10 people. So if we have 4, it's going to operate.
Okay, excellent.
What was the name of the restaurant that you mentioned with the canard?
Oh, no, that was not the restaurant, the name of the restaurant. That's the name of the dish.
Oh,
Confit du Canard.
okay.
That is duck leg,
Okay.
braised duck leg.
Yeah, no, I thought you mentioned the name of the restaurant too. Okay.
No. Well, we're just, once you sign up, we can give a number of restaurant recommendations around the hotel just for easy reach, and a number of others that are well known, so you can book in advance. Ursula, I guess you have a question, but you're
Yeah,
we don't hear
I'm
you.
now, yeah, I'm unmuted now.
Okay.
So the flights, I don't believe they were included in that, were they?
No, they are not included. Flights are given separately in the brochure.
Okay.
Air France direct flight, from Houston to Charles de Gaulle, Paris.
Okay. How's the COVID situation?
Yes, the COVID situation, nothing more than as we know now. Just they don't require any tests, or just what is that? Vaccination cards are enough to enter as of now. And almost all the restrictions were eased in the city. So just you're free to, walk around and travel and go in and out of places as you wish. But, again, vaccination, that's a must, of course.
And then what's the typical weather for October in Paris? I would assume it's a light jacket.
October in Paris, yes, this is towards the end of, or just at the middle of fall. It is pleasant with the changing of, turning of colors. And you can expect mid to high 60s during the day. It may be overcast, occasional rain, but still pleasant. It's a pleasant time to visit, to avoid especially the hordes of visitors from all around the world, just with all the filling up all the museums and everything. So it is a nice time to go, to avoid all those crowds.
So less crowds then than certainly in the summertime, I would assume.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
Probably less crowds then than versus the summertime.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
That's correct, definitely. Yeah, just July, August, beginning of September. Yeah, it's very crowded.
All right. I think that's all the questions I have. So if we want to extend our hotel at the hotel that we're using, you can assist us with that? Or
Yes, we can do that. Yeah.
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 And if you want to do some other excursions outside of France, I was planning on going to Germany. You could help with that as well.
Oh, definitely, Ursula. Yes,
Okay.
definitely. Yeah. Yeah.
tough choice, Cuba or Paris? I don't know.
Very,
Well,
very
you'll have
different.
Yeah, you'll have to decide, in the next couple of days. Just
We will, for sure.
I vote Paris.
I have been to both, and
you have been to both, and
yeah, and Cuba is very interesting, but Paris is Paris.
Paris is Paris. That's a different, it's a different world.
Right.
And definitely, you can go to Paris, many times. Just it's once is not enough. Never.
Right.
And
Yeah.
do you speak French?
Well, I cannot say I do. I studied French. When I go there, I can get by, just order things, ask my directions, and, just converse, daily conversation.
Basics.
Yeah. But yeah, I can't go into a philosophical conversation. Yeah.
I think the trip, right, Passover isn't Passover that week?
Passover's in the spring.
That's a good question. I think Passover would be over, right?
No, because I had a friend who was interested, but she said it's Passover.
Is it?
April or in the spring. It's Yom Kippur. And that's,
Oh, Yom Kippur, one of them.
Yom Kippur.
yeah, it's,
Could
Yeah.
be, yeah.
it's not Passover. Yeah.
Yeah, Yom Kippur, it's one of the holidays.
The Jewish New Year. Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Could be.
Okay.
Any other questions or anything? Well, if you have any questions, Amy is in World Affairs Council offices. You can get in touch with her or you can get in touch with me and I'll be glad to answer your questions.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Okay. Well, thank you, everyone.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Good night.
Good night.